Hi, my name is Liam Woodrum, and you are watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I'm happy to be joined by Liam Woodrum. How are you?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so excited to chat about Geek Girl season one, phenomenal show. But before we get into the series, oh, I see a furry friend
Yeah,
back there.
I completely usually I put them in my parents' room, but they're not here right now. So if there might be some barking that happens eventually. I'll try to avoid that at all costs. I'm sorry.
No worries. We love animals. So, I mean, feel free to pick them up later. And I don't know, they can just be a guest to the interview. But I know
Yeah.
that you come from an athletic background. So, what can you share about your background in the arts, like about that transition and what sparked that passion in you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was a basketball player my entire life. I did nothing but basketball, and then my junior year of high school, I needed an art credit to graduate high school, and my English teacher freshman year, Mr. Bloom, he convinced me to join drama my junior year. So I joined drama, and then after my first live performance, we did a one act, and I just completely fell in love with it. And I came home, I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to be an actor. I want to quit basketball. I just want to act. This is all I want to do. And they were a little shocked at first, definitely, but yeah, it was basketball. It was a pretty weird switch.
I can only imagine. So, when you told your parents, like eventually, or maybe even immediately, were they supportive of this path for you? Because with sports, you dedicate so much of your life. And I'm sure, when you were younger too, you were in lessons and things like that to maybe turn pro, or at least I'm sure that was a goal when you were younger.
Yeah, they were completely supportive. I got so lucky because I know there's a lot of parents out there that when their kid says they want to get into the arts, whether it's acting or music, there's a, a hesitation at first, definitely. But I have the best parents ever who were so supportive, and it was definitely weird at first. I think it was weird for me too, and they were kind of like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" But yeah, they were so supportive. It was amazing.
Tell me about your experience with sports, particularly varsity basketball and what it's taught you.
Man, everything. That was pretty much all I knew. It teaches you how to, get yourself up in the morning. It teaches you how to stay consistent. It teaches you, hard work and all the cliches, the dedication and teamwork. There's so much how to lose, how to win, how to be respectful, all of that stuff.
And then in terms of, culture of team sports, I know that I think your team also did a lot of like fundraising and things like that. So also in terms of like morals and those values. And you were quite a well-rounded athlete because outside of basketball, you also played baseball, football, soccer, swimming. You also did some martial arts.
Yeah, that's I saw a couple of those in an article or somewhere that I read. Those are more of just like on those actor websites where someone is like, "Can you play sports?" You're like, "Yeah, I can play all of these." I did play. I played football and I played soccer and baseball. I did a little bit of karate growing up, not too much, but I never did any swimming, some surfing, but yeah, it was mainly basketball my whole life.
It's kind of like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with High School Musical. I think you're around four when it was released, but real life Troy Bolton, Basketball to the
Yeah.
Arts. Did you
Oh,
ever
that
get
was
teased about that?
no, I never got teased about it, thankfully. It was definitely I knew it and all my friends knew that comparison. And I wore number 14 on the court too, which didn't help because he wore number 14 as well. And I think that's because I was such a High School Musical fan when I was younger. And someone asked me later on in high school, they're like, so why do you wear number 14? And I was like, I don't really know. I've just always worn that number. And then right before we graduated, me and all my friends just rewatched High School Musical 3 for fun. And he was wearing number 14. I was like, that is why I wear number 14 because I was such a big fan of High School Musical when I was younger. So I
It's
just
like in
wanted
the
14.
back of your mind, and then it
Yeah,
only came up after you rewatched it years later.
exactly. I was like, I don't know if I should admit that, but here we go.
No shame at all. I mean, which one was your favorite movie? I think there were three of them that were
Yeah, there were
released.
three of them. I like the third one. I always love the third, and the second one's good too. Everyone says that the second one's not their favorite, but I like that one.
No
Like
love
all
for the OG, the
the
first
OGs, they're
movie.
all good. The OG's great too. All of them are good.
I mean, if they're ever doing a reboot, you're around.
Right.
Who are some other specific like actors or favorite films and series that inspired you?
Heath Ledger is a big one for me. I love the way that he jumped around from role to role, and you never knew what he was going to do next. And he did the rom-com, and then he went off and did a small part in Halle Berry's movie Monsters Ball, and then he went off and did the Joker, as everyone knows, and just kind of went all over the place. You never knew what he was going to do. So that was pretty inspiring to me.
There's something about versatility, I'm sure, that captures you. Like you see these actors in all these different kind of roles and characters.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And there's a whole like, I mean, obviously, the cat Leo, Leonardo DiCaprio, and all the Joaquin Phoenix and Brad Pitt, all of those guys are inspiration.
May I ask what your cultural background is and how it shaped your identity?
Yeah, this one's fun. I've seen a couple articles now of people writing about it, trying to guess. I'm Korean and Irish. Korean and Irish. I haven't seen any. I saw someone wrote Scottish and English and yeah, Korean and Irish. My mom's half Korean, so I'm a quarter.
Has that been something like prominent in your childhood? Like, did you ever kind of travel to Korea? Did you hear about kind of maybe your mother's background on that side?
Not too much. I haven't been. I want to so bad. I still have some family out there. I really want to go, but not too much. I mean, the only significance would just be the food. She cooks a lot of Korean food, and I still, whenever I take my grandma to lunch, and we'll go and do that. So I still have my grandma in my life that I still help take care of, and my mom who cooks and all that. So yeah.
What's your favorite Korean dish that she cooks?
I'm just a sucker for the Korean barbecue. It's probably such a typical answer, but just the I'm we had yesterday the short ribs, and then you dip them in like the salt and pepper stuff. It was so good. Bulgogi, all of that stuff.
Do you have any like good Korean barbecue places out in California, or are they few and far between?
They're pretty few and far. There's a couple, but not too many. I usually we stay here and let my grandma or my mom do it.
Nothing like home cooking, right?
Right? Exactly.
We'll get into Geek Girl. I will note for all those watching that we are discussing spoilers, so please make sure you finish season one before continuing. You star as Nick Park. What can you share about your audition process and what drew you to this project?
Yeah. The audition process, it came in just like a normal audition, just through self tapes, and you film yourself in your living room or wherever you do it, and you send it off into the abyss, and you hopefully hear back. And so luckily, I heard back and did another self tape, and then I think one more self tape. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months I was reading for it before I finally got it. So it was pretty long, and um, I'm just grateful that I got the part. And what drew me to it was just, I guess, employment in the first place. But then really looking at it and seeing that there's a whole 6 books, 9 books, and then that there's so much to dive into and so much world to play in. So that's what drew me into it.
I love how before you're just like, I really needed a job because there's no shame in admitting that as a working actor. But I love that, you started, getting into the scripts and the story, and you're like, there's something important to tell here. Your audition process was quite long, obviously, as like the male lead or one of the male leads. Did you have to do a chemistry read with Emily during that process?
We did not do a chemistry read. But I mean, we got along so well on set, and the whole cast did, everyone did, but especially me and Emily, we bonded pretty well off camera. So we got really lucky because I know how quickly it can go the opposite way.
For the auditions, do you remember any of the like scenes or dialogue that you had to read?
Yes, I think the first audition, it was the scene in episode three, maybe, where I meet her in the in the door, kind of when they're doing, or episode three or four, where we have that first kind of interaction, and then when I get her phone number.
Oh, it was during boot camp. Yeah.
Yeah, they were both boot camp auditions, and then the second callback was just a monologue that they wrote out. It wasn't in the series anywhere, but the first one was yeah, and then I think the museum scene was another one. I can't remember too well.
I'm sure at this point it's probably over 2 years ago for you. But did you have a good feeling, during the audition process? Like they say as an actor, sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't. But this
Yeah,
was maybe your first kind of big role that you were kind of getting deep into in auditions.
yeah. It was weird. I when it first came in, reading about it, I was like, oh, this would obviously be awesome to get. And then after I sent in the first audition, I was telling my mom and dad, I was like, I don't know, I just have a weird feeling about this one. I think it might work out. And this is random, but I was working out in my garage after I did the first callback, and a ladybug came and landed on me. And I was like, oh, that's got to be good luck, right? Something's gonna happen. So I took a picture of it just in case I did get the part. I was like, well, the ladybug told me that I was gonna get the part. And sure enough, the ladybug was right.
You have modeled before, but I think more like commercial work rather than runway modeling. But how else did you prepare for this role? Did it involve reading or rereading Holly Smale's books, discussions with the creative team, or any other research that you did in the fashion and modeling industries?
Yeah, I just watched a lot of runway shows just on YouTube, sitting in my flat in London and back home before I got the part two, watching a lot of those. And then obviously reading the books as well. I ordered the books and read the first three books. And then when we were out filming in Canada, Stacey McKenzie was there, who's a top model judge, and she was doing a little cameo. Sorry, and she was doing a little cameo, and she pulled a couple of us aside and just gave us a few pointers. And then we also had a movement coach who helped us, so we had some help along the way. So that was all kind of part of the process of that.
That's excellent to kind of have that person on set as to be kind of a guide, and she did fantastic kind of in the show. All of the whole modeling industry world, those characters are so fun to meet. How long did it take you to perfect and practice your catwalk?
Oh man, I don't think I perfected it at all, but it took a while. I was practicing, and then there was a whole lot of stress because in Canada we were doing it, and it just wasn't feeling right and wasn't looking right. So I was all stressed out that I wasn't going to get it right when we were doing it. So I just kind of went upstairs in my own little hallway and just went back and forth in this hallway of a hotel room, probably looking like a psychopath, but it all worked out in the end, hopefully.
You're like other people if they saw you going like
Yeah,
there and back across like the rooms multiple
I had
times, you're like,
yeah,
sorry, I had to practice.
yeah, I had some heels on. It was just funk.
Well, I think it looked great, the final product. I wonder if you even had Daisy to kind of ask because she's kind of done more maybe
Oh,
modeling in that sense.
yeah. Oh, there's shooting with Daisy had to be the most frustrating thing ever. We were even just doing photo shoots for, the magazines and the pictures you see in the show. Every shot, it was just like perfect. Every pose is perfect, facial expression perfect. And then every once in a while I had one where my eyes closed or something and I'm blinking. I'm just like, how do you not blink when the camera it doesn't make any sense. She was amazing. And also all of the other models that you see on the runway are actual runway models as well. So they were able to give me a couple pointers.
A lot of pressure for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make you kind of want to do any more modeling, runway modeling in the future?
You know, I will not say no. There's definitely a whole bunch of stuff that I would love to try. That could be one. That definitely could be one. Why not?
Can you share any details that you created yourself or discussed with others as to Nick's backstory and upbringing, specifically like his family when he started modeling? Because I know you said in another interview that he's 16, which is the same age as Harriet, but they've had very different lives up until the point where we meet them.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. And I actually think I said that I think he's actually 17, I believe. I think he might be just a tad older. I said the wrong age in that interview. Um, but yeah, I mean the first thing you do as an actor is you look at the backstory of your character and you try to figure out what life is like back at home. If he has a mom, if he has a dad, siblings, what is life like with his friends, and that's all kind of the first. And luckily, I had the books to kind of go to, and it doesn't talk too much about it, but there's definitely some details about Nick's life. But that's the fun part about acting is you get to create all of this world behind a made up person. So that's a great. I don't know if I want to give too many details because some of them might be spoilers for if we get a season two, hopefully. But yeah, that's the fun part about acting is getting to create all of this stuff for your character.
So it is mentioned in the series that he at least has his mother around because he says to his aunt Yuji later on, please don't call my mom or don't tell my mom that I said this stuff to you. But maybe like I will note that none of this is canon or facts. Obviously, if you get a second season, that's with Holly in the writer's room to kind of delve into Nick's backstory. But is there anything that you can share, even like his start in the fashion industry and how you kind of saw it, maybe even just to give yourself kind of a peace of mind for where he's at?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's obviously not living with his parents. He's off, but I think it started pretty early for him. Not super young, but he has Yuji as a famous designer as an auntie, so she probably was able to, put him on some runways pretty early. That's what I came up with. It was started at a young age, and it's weird. He's kind of living this weird life. He's a 17-year-old kid, but he's kind of forced into adulthood at such a young age. Um, but I think he has a fantastic relationship with his parents, and hence him saying, "Please don't call my mom." Um, yeah,
It's probably something where he really wants to do well and do well by them, even though they're not physically in the same space or even maybe city, country as him. And you mentioned, thinking a bit about friends, and he does mention he doesn't have many friends because I think with that independence, with his own place, it comes a lot of loneliness for him.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a weird life. Usually at 16, 17 years old, you're still in high school. But he's kind of forced into, like I just said, this quick adult life of living on his own and having a tight schedule, and he doesn't have much free time, and he's going from city to city. So it can be a pretty isolated and lonely life. Yeah.
So he is supposed to kind of be in school. He had a biology book at one point. That's correct. He's taking like online classes or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll just be online, like a homeschool online courses and all that fun stuff.
In your words, how would you describe your version of Nick Park as a person? Like, how did he earn his reputation as fashion's bad boy? What did you really want to focus on, even in terms of the physicality and mannerisms of
Mhm.
Nick?
Yeah. Well, I tried to think of him as the opposite of fashion's bad boy. I think that's a perfect example of how social media can take something and run with it, whether that's, the way someone dresses or even stuff. I mean, you see Nick is in a fake relationship with Poppy. So he might have had other fake relationships to promote himself or the other person. So I think that might have been where fashion's bad boy came from. But I think he's quite literally the opposite of that. He's the most kind and and generous and loving person and loves people for who they are.
What major similarities and differences did you see between yourself and Nick?
Um, well, the main one, they let me say Newport Beach, California, in one of the scenes is his favorite beach, which happens to be my hometown beach as well. So that was pretty cool. That's got to be the biggest similarity between us. And I'd also like to think I'm, a kind and loving guy as well, generous.
Any different big differences, or would that just be the
Yeah.
whole fashion modeling
Yeah,
industry?
I'm definitely not a famous runway model, nor do I think I could be.
I did catch the California reference, which I thought was nice because, yeah, you are from California and surfing was Nick's sport of choice instead of basketball.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, which I did. I've done a little bit of surfing. I have some buddies of mine who are a lot better than me. I'll try to go out with them, but I'll just paddle way out and sit out there and enjoy the water.
Try to get some like be real shots for a season two,
Yeah,
maybe.
make it seem like I'm surfing.
What can you say about Nick's relationship with his aunt Yuji Lee and the pressures of not only being her nephew, but like upholding a reputation and legacy in the industry?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. I think, there's obviously still a whole lot of love there because, they are family, but it is pretty, strictly business with her. She doesn't open up too much. Even in the scene where I kind of snap back at her, she waits for me to leave to laugh. There's no kind of, she never really lets you in. And that's got to be weird. But I think you might be a little bit used to it by now. Um, but definitely weird. It's pretty strictly business with her, and there's the other side of it too, where he is kind of a nepo kid, where he probably didn't have to work for too much, and there's that kind of naiveness to Nick a little bit, maybe not. He's kind of been privileged throughout his entire life to just kind of get things handed to him. Never really had to do things on his own. So there's that part of it as well. If I have to be honest with the character.
It's talked a bit about throughout the season, like, even with Poppy, she kind of mentions, he doesn't really kind of see maybe the optics of that relationship because like you mentioned, he's been quite young since he's always kind of been Yuji's go-to like male model, right? So it's not like he's really maybe had to compete a lot for the opportunities that he gets. How about Nick's relationship with his long-term agent Wilbur? Like, how did you see that?
Oh, that's a great. That's like a older brother, younger brother banter. Great relationship. Nick can call him for advice, as you see in one of the episodes with the car. Um, you can call him for advice. Just be himself around him. They have a great relationship. And Manny, who plays Wilbur, is the best person ever. It is nonstop laughter, nonstop jokes with him. I feel the same way as Nick does with Wilbur, where I can kind of give Manny a call at any hour of the day asking for advice if I need anything and all of that. He's amazing.
I love that relationship that he has with Nick and also that he has with Harriet. And what's interesting is when Wilbur resigns himself from Infinity, he also resigns Nick, but Nick doesn't seem too upset about it when he
Mhm.
tells him.
Yeah, I think he well, a little maybe it excites him a little bit. A little change up in his life. I think any change in Nick's life right now is he's grateful for.
And also the trust that he has in Wilbur, and it's almost like Wilbur is, like you mentioned, like a big brother figure, the closest thing that Nick has to a friend, maybe before like Harriet comes around.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he is living so far from any friends, and I wouldn't consider Poppy too much of a friend. But yeah, he's lucky he has Wilbur there for him.
Which was your favorite scene to film and be a part of, and why?
All of them. The runway scenes, as terrifying as they were so much fun to film. I got to wear the coolest clothes, and I've never been on a runway before. And just the adrenaline rush you get from doing that in front of a whole bunch of people that had to have been the best. Excuse me, the best scenes to film, and also the stuff at London Fashion Week, just because the entire cast was there. We had the cast from the school, we had the cast from the agency, we had all the models there. So that was such a fun couple days too, having everyone in the same building at once.
Was that like the London Fashion Week, the first kind of scenes you filmed exposed to that runway world?
Yeah, yeah. The first scenes we filmed were kind of were the boot camp, but those were the in London Fashion Week was the first runway stuff we did.
Tell me about Nick and Poppy's PR relationship. Why do you think Nick initially agreed to be a part of it?
Yeah, I think he might have been coerced into it a little bit. I don't know if it was all his choice. Um, and probably at first it was a little exciting for him. He gets to do all this weird, fun stuff, but I think after a while it gets old. It gets old and he gets tired of it, especially when he meets Harriet, kind of opens his eyes to a whole other world.
Do you think that's the moment that he kind of began to be more disillusioned, or was there another point, maybe a bit earlier, because you kind of
Yeah.
see that hesitation?
Yeah, I think coming into the show when it picks up, he's probably been over it for a little while now. And Harriet is the real deciding factor, the real turning point for him.
To be fair, boba every morning might also make me ill. I mean, I love my bubble tea, but every day, a little too
Yeah.
much.
I'm okay.
I mean, the free stuff that he got, I mean, you can see how much Infinity loves him, like putting all those model shots in his apartment. What was that like for you, like walking into that set and seeing that? Because it's very different from home, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't have three huge posters of myself right in front of my bed. That was funny because I had a conversation with Zoe, the producer, and she was telling me we're gonna have, big pictures of you and when we go and film the stuff in your flat, and we're gonna have all this stuff. And I was like, okay, cool, that's gonna be exciting. And then coming to set and actually seeing them in full frame, and it was extremely uncomfortable and cool weirdly at the same time. And I don't even know. I don't even know what they did with them. Hopefully just burned them or something.
They didn't offer them to you to take home.
They made a couple jokes. I don't know how I would get that on the plane back unless we shipped it or something. And I don't even know if I want those.
Very true. It would have been a long ways to go from, I guess, London back to
Yeah.
California, but hey, maybe they have them in storage and they could pick them back up for a
Yeah.
second season. That's why they're keeping them.
Yeah. 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 Maybe.
Nick first sees Harriet inside the venue, London Fashion Week, talks to her a bit after her hat incident, and then again at Infinity's casting day. In your mind, what were his first impressions of Harriet? Like, how was she different and what attracted him to her?
I think what first kind of caught his eye was probably what she was wearing at London Fashion Week. Because in my mind, that's how I justified it when we were doing it. But then actually going back and watching the show, I never look at what she's wearing. I just look at her eyes. So maybe that's something as well. Her eyes were the first thing that caught his attention. And then after seeing the hat incident, he wanted to go and check on her and make sure she was okay.
So he does flirt with and tries to pursue Harriet while still being in that fake relationship with Poppy. So tell me about his actions and intentions, and also the doubts he has about being with Harriet, because there's that moment when he invites her to the Fenzi party with him, but then she mentions her dad and he kind of backs off a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. There's Harriet or Nick and Poppy are in a fake relationship, so he's able to pursue other people without it being, a cheating thing. Um, but I don't think Nick has any doubts about being with Harriet. I think he wants to be with Harriet from the start to the finish. I think in that moment, he was maybe questioning whether or not she wanted to be with him. I think throughout the entire thing, Nick wants Harriet throughout the entire thing. I don't think there's ever a doubt, and I think the doubt in that moment was maybe she doesn't want me back, and all of those thoughts creeping in.
I loved their first unofficial day, official day after the Fenzi party. Ended up at the museum where they really kind of got to know each other on a more personal level. So tell me about that night from Nick's perspective, and how are those scenes for you to film?
From Nick's perspective, I think that's all he wanted. I think they somewhat talked about it early on, and they never got the opportunity to go and do that. And I think what a perfect time to do that after a little party like that, to get to go and escape and run around in a ball gown and in a tuxedo. And that's just, everyone's dream. But from our perspective, it was the complete opposite. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Those were overnight shoots. So a lot of those scenes inside the museum were shot at maybe 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning. So me and Emily would go and we'd do the scenes, and then we'd go back to where we were sitting. We wouldn't even say a word to each other, but we would just sit there chugging coffee and then get up and go do it again and then come back. But it was all so much fun. We were so tired by the end of that.
it was a late night for you, but I love the scenes and the interactions that you two shared, even if you had to have that break in between just because you were
Right.
so tired. And then, for Nick and Harriet, like for Nick especially, I imagine that a lot of people either don't know about or don't care to know about, his deep love of sharks, and that's something that Harriet appreciates about him, and so they kind of connected on that level.
Yeah, that's just I think that's more of Nick is kind of this person that everyone doesn't really get to know. They probably just hire him to do a job. And Poppy, I don't think is asking him about what he is into and what he enjoys. But Harriet really takes the time and lets him go over and show her the shark exhibit and talk about it and geek out on it. And she likes it. So I think that was a great moment between those two.
Take me through your scene opposite Sandra as Aunt Yuji in episode 10, where he stands up to her. What did you focus on in your emotions and your dialogue?
Just what Nick wanted for Harriet. I think that was the only thing on his mind. I think he was going in there with the intention to convince Yuji to let Harriet walk. And I think that was the only thing on his mind. He wasn't going to leave there without getting that done. And there's a moment in there where she completely shuts him down right off the start, and he kind of turns around. He's like, man, but that's just what he's used to. He's used to getting shut down like that and probably turn around and walking away. But this time he has something worth fighting for, and he has Harriet to fight for. So he turns back around and he lets her have it, and it ends up working out.
And how is it working opposite Sandra? Because she did so well in that role, like that whole apathetic, like exterior, hard to crack, hard to read.
Yeah, she was amazing. It was so much fun. She's so still and so present in every scene that we did together. She's just awesome. I cannot say enough good things about her. She's the sweetest and nicest person, the complete opposite of Yuji.
I saw she's been posting some behind the scenes, and she definitely is fine letting loose and having fun with the cast. Very much unlike a character.
Oh yeah.
Take me through those final scenes at Bascar, for Nick, like for your perspective at the start of the runway where he can see Harriet embrace her geek, and then her and Nick share their first kiss midway.
Yeah, I think what's awesome about that moment is it's what we talked about before we shot it too is this isn't a moment of Nick going out and saving Harriet. This is not Nick coming to the rescue and saving her. It's Harriet finding the moment herself and saving herself and getting herself through it, which she does. And what I love about that at the kiss too is they meet in the middle, but Harriet is the one to what's the word, to ignite
Initiate.
initiate, thank you, to initiate the kiss. She grabs him and kisses him, which I think is awesome.
I think it speaks a lot to, Harriet's growth in this season, which is like what's so integral and
Yeah.
important to the story. I have to say, I'm not sure how that geek paper didn't get caught, and someone behind the scenes of Bascar needs to be fired. I'm not sure if the cast ever talked about it. Like, I'm sure it's a moment in the books and everything, so this has to happen in the scripts, but inside you're probably like, I don't know how this happened.
No comment.
Do you think that Nick and Poppy could ever have a genuine friendship after her actions towards Harriet?
You know, I don't think so. I think I think if they need to do something professional, that's just fine. But I don't know if his Nick is gonna do any more bubble matches with her.
For sure. And but the thing with their relationship is I love that earlier on, before all of this happened, before Harriet, like Nick genuinely said to Poppy she could do it on her own. She could be her own brand and be successful. She didn't need him. But obviously, she resorts to mean and jealous tactics after the fact. And like for Nick, I'm sure that started maybe tarnishing a better image that he had of her.
Yeah. And Poppy, even in one of the episodes in Canada, he does. Poppy is a great businesswoman, and throughout the series, she's really only trying to do her job. And then there is some, backstabbing, jealousy actions that she takes. But for the most part, she's really just trying to do her job. And really, Nick is being the difficult one here. He's the one not wanting to do the stuff that he signed up for. Um, but yeah, she's I don't know. Maybe they can. Maybe I don't know.
The fashion show sets, that's something you said you were really impressed by. Like what kind of stood out to you? Did you have, a couple maybe favorite runway sets or even fashion shoot sets that you were a part of? Tell me a bit about those.
Yeah, all of the runway shows were just incredible. Just walking into the Bascar one and then walking into the one in Canada and seeing the huge sets that everyone worked so hard on, and they just looked amazing and like a real runway show. So that was awesome. But then the photo shoot with the old car was cool. With the old Corvette was pretty cool. I got to wear a cool jacket and throw on some cool sunglasses, and Ray, who's the photographer, he did all of the stills and photography on set, and so he had a little cameo in there. So he was actually the photographer playing the photographer, and he's awesome. He's so much fun.
And you actually did get to go out and drive that car, so you didn't just get to see it for the shoot.
I didn't get to drive it. I did not get to drive it, unfortunately. I wish. I remember at one point they were like, "So, you're comfortable driving this?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, totally." But no, I never got the chance to drive it, unfortunately.
False like an excitement there for a second, but I mean you did get to spend some time with it maybe in a second season. I'm sure though after the kind of a mishap there, Wilbur will kind of shut that down. He might be
Yeah,
like, no more fancy cars for you.
yeah. I don't know if he's getting a second shot at that.
So the Fairmont Chateau Laurier, I think that one was my favorite kind of fashion show scene. That was when it was like the greenery, you had the leaves coming down while you were walking, which is like
Yeah,
such an element to have. And then also out in Canada being on the water, which is something new.
yeah.
How was that one? Because like, I'm not sure if you had spectators around or not, if they kind of closed off that beach area, but here you are standing kind of partially in the water, like
Yeah.
and there's cameras on cameras essentially for the shoot.
Yeah, that one was a pretty secluded beach. There wasn't anybody watching. At the car photo shoot back in London, there was a lot of people up on the upper balcony area watching. But that one was awesome too. That was our first day filming in Canada. So that was the first day we met the whole new Canadian crew, and that was awesome. We got to hang out on the beach all day and play in the water and wear cool clothes and all of that. Yeah.
Tell me about hair, makeup, wardrobe, your time with these departments, and did you enjoy getting to experiment with Nick's style with them?
Yeah, definitely. Adele first. We had Adele, and she's just the best. She's the funniest, kindest, sweetest person ever. We got to spend a lot of time with her, and she's awesome at her job. The stuff that she does with all of Harriet's looks and the hair and the makeup is incredible. And we were, yeah, pretty collaborative with Nick's stuff as well. There's only so much you can do. You can slick back the hair or not slick back the hair, but yeah, we had a great time together. She was amazing.
Did you have a favorite outfit of Nick's?
Yeah, I really like the leather jacket. That was a nice leather jacket. And then the runway show in Canada, the greenery landscape. I like the black vest that I got to wear, and the pants are pretty cool. Actually, they let me keep the pants. I didn't steal the pants, so I have those ones.
You didn't have to like you didn't have to just like sneakily take them away from wardrobe. They were like, okay.
I tried. I was like, "Is there any way I can take these?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure."
I mean, the looks were all great. I love like everyone's from obviously like Nick's, but also, Poppy and Harry and all the other models. They did such a great job with them. Did you get used to the hair gel, hairspray, guy liner? Because that was kind of
Yeah.
like the constant that you kind of had to wear in character on the runway.
The eyeliner, I like that. The eyeliner was weird. I had to get used to that because at first, when Adele was putting it on, I was like, "You're poking my eye, Adele." But I got used to it eventually. We could do it pretty quick. But the hair gel, my hair was rock hard a lot of the times, and you just go home and rinse it out and go back and do it the same time, the same thing next day.
So you get home and you're like, wow, like I can't even run my hands through my hair. It's
Yeah,
so
you just
soft.
stand in the shower for 30 minutes to let it soak.
I mean, I love that it got quicker because I'm sure initially, like you said, it was an adjustment, especially with the eyeliner.
Oh yeah, I did not like that one bit. It looks cool, it looks great, but I don't know how the people who wear that often do it. It hurts. I don't like it.
Because it was like it was very dark. Like it wasn't just,
Yeah.
like a single line. It was like kind of the smoky
No,
look.
let's put them out. We should have just used a Sharpie. It might have been easier.
Can you imagine? Then you would have been like home. Why can't I rub this thing
Yeah,
off for
exactly.
me? But you would have had it for the next day.
Exactly.
You shared many of your scenes opposite Emily. How were they to work with as a person and as a scene partner?
Just I mean, all you can ask for in a scene partner. And she's been doing this for so long. She's so professional and just good at her job. I mean, if there's stuff that I couldn't figure out and I was struggling with, she had an answer to in 5 seconds, and she could help me get through an awkward moment in the scene that I couldn't figure out. And it helps that we bonded so well off camera. All of the stuff that you see on camera was we have a great friendly relationship off screen. So she was just amazing to work with. We got so lucky.
Did the two of you ever connect to discuss your character's relationship, like between Nick and Harriet, or did you kind of keep that separate in terms of your own mindset to get into character?
Yeah, there were a couple things here and there, but for the most part, we did kind of keep it to ourselves and show up and just do the work on the day. We never really got together to discuss certain things off camera, but I think that maybe helped a little because Nick and Harry also have no idea what each other is thinking, and we have so much trust with each other, so we can kind of feel our way through the scene. But no, we never really sat down and discussed specific beats and moments a couple times here and there, but not a lot. Yeah.
I think that's really fair because you kind of want to be in your character's thought process. So talking to someone like it could benefit maybe a little, but it could also taint, where you're at. So it's
Yeah.
good that you let your time on screen do the talking.
Yeah.
You filmed primarily in London, also some time in Canada in Ottawa. So tell me about your shoot up north.
Yeah, it was awesome. I've never been to Canada before, and it was so much fun. I didn't have too much free time to get to go and explore. We were working all the days we were out there, but it was nice. The weather was nice when we were up there. It was pretty sunny. It was actually pretty warm too. But it was so everyone's so friendly. I know that's such a cliche, but everyone is genuinely so friendly.
Did you get to try the beaver tail? I know it's mentioned in the show, but did you actually get to have one?
Yeah, me and Emily, I think me, Emily, and Manny kind of after shooting one day walked and grabbed one because when we were eating them in the scene, that was also at I think like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So I just could not eat anything in the scene. I'm just holding it, which kind of still bothers me when I go back and watch it. I wish I would have taken a bite. But I just could not eat. It was too early in the morning. But I did, and they're amazing. They're so good.
And for those who don't know, it's like the fried dough pastry with
Yeah.
different toppings. I like that you watch it back and you're like the regrets I had in that scene.
There's so many. So many.
Take me behind the scenes of filming in London. Was it also your first time over there? Did you get to explore, maybe get shown around by some of your UK-based co-stars?
Yeah, yeah. I've been to London for one day. My mom is a flight attendant, so I have the luxury of flying for free. So when she was working a flight to London, I just hopped on. There were some open seats. So I spent one day out in London, and then that was a couple months before, and then I ended up booking the job and finding out that I was gonna spend 3, 4 months out there. So I loved it. It was so much fun. And I was lucky too because I had, Emily and Manny and Zach and Rochelle and everyone who's more familiar with the area. And we had a lot of great memories going and showing me what a Sunday roast was. And we had some fun karaoke nights and, all that fun stuff.
It's so nice to hear that, they really made you feel welcome there. Go-to karaoke song?
I think me and James, who plays Ollie, sang Backstreet Boys. I Want It That Way. I think we did do that. Yeah, I think that's good. That's gonna be my go-to.
Not Justin Bieber's Never Say Never. I think that was one of your favorite songs of rotation when you were a bit younger.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't sing that one. That's a good idea though. Maybe next time I do karaoke, I'll throw that one in there.
Bit of a throwback.
Right.
If renewed for a second season, what would you like to explore with Nick? Anything specific from the books, or maybe more about his personal life? Any ideas there?
Yeah. I think life back at home, what that is like. I know it's not the show about Nick, but what he's like with his friends and what his friends like to do for fun. And he's got siblings and mom and dad. I think that would be cool to explore.
Also, like if he even has any friends, because I think he mentions to Harriet that they kind of like lost a bit of touch there. So it's
Right.
almost like if he goes back, does he have any friends kind of
Right.
thing?
Yeah. I also had a funny thought too. It'd be funny to see what Nick is like in a public school. That would be pretty funny.
Tell me about the fan support messages you've seen and received since the show's release, and what has that support meant to you?
It's been all positive. I cannot be more grateful and pleased with all the messages and fan edits I've been seeing on TikTok and all my friends are sending me the edits. But it's amazing. You make these shows with hope that it does well, right? But you never really know what it's gonna do. And so for this to be received the way it's been received is all you can ask for and more. It's amazing.
How about on your personal side with your family and friends? Like you mentioned, your friends sending you the edits, but how has your family reacted to it? Like, have you gotten a lot of like relatives reaching out as well and saying that they watched you on in the
Yeah,
show?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Most of my relatives have watched it and loved it, not just because I'm in it, just because they loved the show itself. But yeah, I do get a lot of my friends sending me in there like, can you get your face off of my social media, please?
I can imagine. I mean, there are some really passionate fans out there, but it's nice to know that it's all love and like people are just so happy for you and the show. We will go through some tweets now. So if you
Yeah.
have your phone, I think there are five of them for you.
Yes, I got them pulled up right here. Okay, need a Nick Park and Nick Nelson edit like now. They both give off golden retriever energy. And Nick Nelson is from Heartstopper, correct? Okay, yes, that would be awesome. And I think Kate Connor looks like an amazing guy, so that would be yeah. Yeah, I would love to see that as well.
Have you gotten that before? Golden retriever energy?
I have not, and I also don't know what that means.
That is a compliment, though, if it wasn't already clear.
Okay, that's good. I'm watching Geek Girl, and Nick Park is so perfect and nice. It's weird. Like, I know it's a feel-good story, but I'm too used to the pretty nice boys in shows being stalkers and murderers. Whatever. Yeah, as of I know, Nick is not a stalker or a murderer, so that is a good thing. And it is nice to have something a little bit more refreshing and light. So I'm glad that that person is enjoying it.
On the term of stalker, what's interesting with the show, and I'm sure you've seen this in the books, is that Toby, Zach's character, was said to be like a stalker in the books, and they did kind of change that for the times and everything in the series. Is that something that was noticeable kind of to the cast as well? Because I do love the spin that they took with his character, more so being just the neighbor next door rather than
Uh,
Harriet Stalker.
right. I mean, when you're adapting a book into a TV show, I mean, and Holly did an amazing job in everything, but there's certain things obviously that you're gonna have to change a little bit, and I think that was a smart choice. But we did make jokes about, um, actually, I'm not gonna say that because I don't want that to get picked up. So let's move on from that. Okay, I just watched Geek Girl in one sitting. I loved it. My teenager dream came true. Also, so good to be reminded that being weird or not fitting in, if it's embraced, can bring so much more happiness than burdening. So very comforting show to watch. So very comforting show to watch. Yes, I also agree. Um, I think that being weird and not fitting in is a good thing, and I think that you should not be embarrassed or feel like you're a burden at all. And I think especially right now, we live in a time where there's a lot of social media, and everyone's opinion is put on a pedestal because you open the comments and you see the top comment with 50,000 likes and it's a negative thing, and you go to the second comment and it's a negative thing with 30,000 likes, and it can be a lot. So yeah, if you're watching this and you feel like you don't fit in, it doesn't matter. When Nick was holding Harriet's heels while they went and explored Canada, plus the museum, lives were changed. Did I read that wrong? Nick was holding Harriet's heels while they went. Yeah, I was holding her heels. And the funny thing about me holding her heels was I could not get my suit jacket back on, and they would not stop making fun of me for that. And I think it's in, they left it in too, just a moment where she hands me my jacket back and I have the heels. And I go to put on the jacket and I couldn't get it, so I just walked off camera. And Emily's like, just put the jacket on. It's like, I can't, it's hard.
I think the comment means also chivalry isn't dead. Like at the museum, a guy holding
Yeah.
the girl's heels. I mean, he was so nice to carry those around the entire time.
Yeah. No, we wouldn't make her carry those on her own. Only Liam only Liam Woodrum can save me. Um, we should reach out to the person and make sure that she's or he is okay. And if I'm the only person that can save you, then you might be in some trouble because I don't know how much saving I can do. I'll try my best though.
And yeah, it's been so much love for you. Like there are so many other kind of tweets and messages I've seen. A lot of them are also in like different languages that I can't read. And I don't know, I'm sure maybe you can't read Spanish or some other languages as well, but you've been getting a lot of like you mentioned the TikTok edits. Like what have been your response to those that friends are sending you? Like the scene packs, everything they do is so creative.
It is, and it's awesome. It takes talent to do that. It's not easy to do. They got the music and the colors and the different. When my friends send those to me, I just say, I'm sorry. I am sorry that you have to look at those all day, not look at my face all day, because the edits are fantastic and they're amazing. So please keep making them. But it's definitely funny for my friends and family to see.
The algorithm is funny because if it they keep clicking on them, they'll keep popping up on their like
Yeah.
for you page or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for them to start popping up on my phone. Hopefully they don't.
The series does touch on neurodiversity without it defining Harriet. And this is an aspect personal to both Holly Smale and Emily Carey. So, what can you say about what you learned personally about this topic and the messages this show sends to youth in the form of neurodiversity and bullying?
Hmm. Um, it was never really something that we sat down and talked about. And I think that's a good thing because it shouldn't be something that's, it makes someone different than everybody else just because of that. But I think what everyone can learn and take away, not just from this show, but in life in general, is to um, not not judge from the outside and not assume that just not assume things about people. I think, like I just said earlier, with social media, everything from the outside, can seem a certain way, but everyone has their own struggles and their own obstacles. Not saying that being a neurodiversity is an obstacle at all, but in the broader look of things, that just not judge from the outside. Yeah, I think that's something that everyone can learn.
So well said. And, in the show, there were these moments that were so hard to watch when Harriet was getting bullied at school. And I heard from Rochelle that, it's Mia who plays Lexi, nothing like that in real life. But those
No.
scenes are so difficult to watch. I'm
Yeah.
sure for you, like you weren't really in any of those school scenes, but to watch it back, like, was that difficult for you as a person to see?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It is. It's really it's hard to watch, but I think it's great to have that in there because there are kids out there that know exactly what that feels like and have been through that exact same thing. So for them to watch that and feel seen and to watch Harriet's journey throughout the whole rest of the show and for her to figure out that that doesn't define her and she's bigger than that is amazing for people who resonate with that. I think that's awesome.
It's all part of that arc and feeling like it's also okay to talk to people and stand up to that. For you personally, you can next be seen in the horror film 213 or 213. Maybe you can correct me. Bones, you star as Eric. I think it's slated for release in October for spooky season. So, what can you share about this project?
Um, I can share that it's based in the 90s in Seattle in the grunge pop era, and there is a killer, and I think that's all about I can share it because I don't know too much else.
I think what was released that you mentioned 90s college students murdered by a masked attacker. So I was trying to figure out obviously who that is. You did film in Spokane, a bit of a small town feel. So what was that like going over there?
It
Also
was,
on the West Coast though.
yeah, that was a bit different. It was cold. It was colder up there. But I was lucky again because we had such a great ensemble cast and everyone got along so well, and we were all staying in the same hotel on the same floor. So we were hanging out nonstop when we weren't filming, and people were coming to visit set when they weren't working, and we kind of just hung out all the time. It was so much fun.
Dressing for the 90s was a bit different than today's wardrobe.
Yeah, it was cool though. I found it quite refreshing. It was really fun. I liked the boots and the flannels and the ripped jeans and the band t-shirts, and that era of music is really cool.
You mentioned a fantastic, young ensemble. You were led by writer-director Jeffrey Prim. So what was your time like working with Jeffrey and the group on set? Like were the vibes always higher? I'm always curious when it's a horror film because obviously the stakes are very high in the plot,
Yeah.
it's very intense, but did that ever carry, behind the scenes or not really?
No, no, it was all good vibes on set and laughs and Jeff was awesome. He was so collaborative and willing to, let all of us improvise as much as we wanted to. So there were moments of just doing random stuff and he was so open to it all. It was that's like an actor's dream to be able to just kind of feel free to explore as much as you want within the guidelines. But yeah, he was awesome.
Well, hopefully you get to reunite with the group again, maybe for a premiere
Yeah.
in the fall. And last year you also starred in the music video for Extreme's Other Side of the Rainbow. So how was that experience, music video acting? Are you always looking to grow your resume through different kinds of storytelling?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think try everything you can, especially when that was my first acting role ever. So that was probably again just employment, but a great experience because Nunu Betancourt was there all day, and we have a big music family, especially in like the rock and blues, and so to be able to hang out with Nunu all day was one of the greatest guitars living. Was such a cool experience. It was, and he was so friendly, and got to drive a cool old school car down Malibu and off PCH, and it was a great experience.
You did get a nice car to drive for your
Mhm.
first project. So now you kind of had two where at least you got to be in the presence of some of these cars. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool to see like because obviously, sometimes there's dialogue. I don't really think there was too much dialogue
No, there
for
was,
this one. So it's kind of like, acting through your actions and your emotions that you can see without actually speaking.
definitely, yeah. It's a bit. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's more challenging, but it's different. Yeah, it's definitely different.
Currently, who are you listening to on your playlist?
Currently, who am I listening to? Let's see. Let's pull it up real quick and see. I got a lot of Tedeschi Trucks. I just went to their concert a couple days ago, and they were freaking awesome. Derek Trucks. I got some Bob Dylan on there. Got a lot of John Mayer. I got some Jack Johnson, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Bit of older music. Allman Brothers. I don't listen to a lot of this. I grew up a lot of on grew up a lot on blues rock. My mom and dad would play that, so that's kind of still what I listen to. My brother's in a blues band right now called the Bluebirds, so that's kind of all we listen to over here at the Woodrum house.
That's awesome. So have you ever considered becoming their roadie or
I would think that, yeah. If I got time, I would love to travel with them. But they have gigs local a couple times a month, so I always go and watch them over there.
That's awesome. And shout out to your brother. It's he's is it a few years younger than you?
Yeah, he is. He just turned 18. He just turned 18. Yeah.
So your parents have their hands full with the acting and with the music with your brother.
Yeah, we chose the two hardest artistic professions possible.
I mean, they must be so proud though, and for your brother's band, I hope that they continue to make music and do what makes them happy. I have one more question for you, our
Yeah.
signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Um, I don't my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip. And why would I be mint chocolate chip? I don't know. Because it tastes really good. And I like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Fair answer, fair answer. We'll take it. Thank you so much, Liam, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Of course, and for all those watching, you can make sure to catch Liam in Geek Girl. Season 1 is streaming now on Stack TV in Canada and Netflix worldwide. And we will see you next time.
Yes.